Thursday, March 27th at 2201 East 46th Street. Black Circle presents Washington, D.C.-based darkwave duo Amulet, along with Chicago post-punk outfit Bellhead and Indianapolis' own Until We're Done. Tickets for this all-ages event are $15, and the doors open at 7 p.m. And as always, we hope to see you there.
When the sun sets in the east and the dead rise from the ground, I'll still be waiting for your return. I know you've got to go, and I can't stand it. When you're walking out the door, I don't know who you are anymore.
Stephen here, Indie Gothic Society with Robert from waxradioindie.com, here today at the magnanimous Wax Radio Studios itself with Mike and MJ and Stephanie from Amulet. Now, I understand that you are coming to town, going to play Black Circle on the 27th with Bellhead and Until We Are Dust, and we're very excited to finally get you in this area of the Midwest. Now, just briefly, give a quick rundown, of the start of the band and all that, and everything for anyone who doesn't know of you.
Yeah, you go ahead. Why don't you start off and I'll embellish.
Okay, so we were in a band previously together with some other folks, and we decided that we wanted to break off and make our own thing because they were doing some music that wasn't really, well, technically my style, but our style together. And so around 2020, it was 2020. In 2020, we decided to make Amulet a thing. So we started to write together remotely because it was COVID and I was living in Texas and he was in DC. And we just started writing together, and I don't know, we put out our first album in 2021 and then put out another album in 2024 last year. And now here we are, almost 5 years later.
Yeah, we were in a cover band. I was playing bass in that band and Stephanie was singing. And we just kind of got to the point where we just didn't want to play other people's music. Not that it's not great, but we just didn't want to do it anymore. We wanted to start writing our own material.
Yeah. So now we can't stop.
Yeah.
That was the Black Rails, right?
Yes.
The Black Rails, the famous Black Rails. That's right.
And now I know you. In fact, I found something the other day, and I thought, oh hey, I should show this to him. A old Procession magazine from 2021, but it's got
there it is, yeah.
House of Black and White, on here. And
it seems such a long time ago, and listening to it now, it just doesn't seem like our sound anymore. But there's still some good songs on that album.
Yes, I was just really impressed by House of Black and White from the start. With you could hear Stephanie's passion, and I really liked the depth and feeling of that album.
Thanks. Ultimately, the song I think I still like the most on that album is what we call the live version of the song House of Black and White, which Stephanie did in the studio with her mother, Laurie, playing piano. And so it wasn't in front of an audience, but they just performed that, and it was recorded with basically live piano in the studio, and Stephanie sang in the booth over the top of it. I was standing out in the corridor. I wasn't even in the edit suite, but I was listening to it, and I was just getting goosebumps and think, don't drop anything, it's going great. And then it just came out really, really nicely, and we basically used that take from both of them on the album, and it's really good. It's poignant. It feels amazing to listen to it even now.
And now, going back to the cover band thing, when it comes to covers, what's your opinions on whether or not you want a cover to be accurate to the original, or whether you want it to sound different but recognizable?
Well, I think I was traumatized by covers because I grew up in England in the 70s and 80s, and in the 70s they had these things called K-Tel records, and maybe they were over here as well.
Yeah, they did over here.
But I used to like all these artists, but it was expensive to buy all the singles, and I saw this K-Tel album, and it's got David Bowie and The Sweet and everybody on it. I'm like, yeah, I'll get that. And I put that on, and it wasn't what I was expecting. And so I kind of got PTSD from KTEL Records on covers. And so I've never been a big fan of covers, particularly, probably just from that when I was a kid. But there are definitely covers that I like. I mean, I think the Sound of Silence by Disturbed in particular was one that struck me as being especially good, but there are other good ones. But it's just not for us. So, more power to people who want to do covers, cover bands, tribute bands. If that's fun, go for it. No judgment at all. It's just not what we do.
Yeah, I feel like we only have so much time to make music, and somebody already made that song. So I just need to make my own music, basically.
It's rare that covers seem better than the original, and it's probably because you get used to the original, and then you hear something that's different and it doesn't quite match up, even if the cover is really good to itself. It's almost like hearing remixes of your own song. You've got to expand your brain so that you don't get kind of into that mindset of, I want to keep it the way it was. You've got to be open to changes and different interpretations. So we've had some remixes done which we thought were great, but I think you have to sort of sidestep your own self and your own ego and all of that and just be open-minded for that. But maybe I'm closed-minded about covers, but I think it was that KTEL problem I had when I was 8. Yeah.
KTEL was definitely my introduction to a lot of music in the 70s. Now I know Robert has some questions for you.
Great.
Real quick. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
What would be your dream collaboration if you had one?
What do you think?
Oh, man.
I mean, we have some dream collaborations already.
9 Inch Nails. That's what I have to say.
What would the collaboration look like?
I don't know. This is a little pressure to think about that.
Yeah, Pino Palladino was playing bass with them. I think that would be a tough act to follow, but I'd try it.
Yeah, I don't know. Trent Reznor can do a remix for us. How about that?
Yeah, sure, that'd be great.
We can make him famous.
I mean, we're working with Chris Orr from Stabbing Westward. That's a pretty dream collaboration.
Yes, I'm pleased by that.
Who else? Dan Milligan from Joy Thieves is a pretty dream collaboration.
I didn't know about that dream, but it is good.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, it became a dream. We like working with Dan and Chris. They're great. I mean, lots of other people. Eric from Unit Code Machine. What was that track we listened to the other day of his? It's really good.
I don't know. I think it was Cold.
Cold. Yeah, it's really good. But check out Eric's stuff. And he's been working with Chris. So yeah, I mean, some of those folks are great to work with. My main dream collaboration is working with Stephanie, because it was really cool to figure out that could actually find somebody that I could really work with well. And it's hard. It's hard being a songwriter and a musician working with other songwriters and musicians. Everybody has their own idea of something, and if your personalities aren't conducive, that can quickly lead to fallings out. But we managed to do 2 albums together now, and we're still getting along well. So yeah, I mean, that's actually my best collaboration musically that I've had, has been with Stephanie. And with Bob, our guitarist. I mean, we're doing great with Bob. He's awesome. He does more of the kind of live stuff, but he collaborated and contributed on the album as well. So we're also kind of looking for, not looking for a drummer. We have somebody we're working with at the moment, but we've only been working with him a little bit, so not quite ready to go out live with Steve yet, but hopefully before too long, that will be another collaboration for us as well.
Yeah, too bad you can't talk Dan into coming out drumming for you.
I know.
Yeah, we've tried, but Dan is so busy. He's in more bands than he can shake a stick at, and so yeah, I mean, we would love to play with Dan. He's such a great guy, but he is super busy with his own projects. And we asked him, actually. We asked him to play Tampa, right? But he was.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was tied up. So yeah, but he's done some great stuff for us, and he continues to be a good friend.
Yeah, I know he did a lot of help for you on albums.
Yeah, totally.
And I think Dan and probably William Faith are the 2 busiest, Chicago artists that I know.
Yeah, William did a remix for us too. And he did some great bass work on When Winter Comes. I really liked it, and with a precision bass, which sounded really good. I liked that a lot. And then Dan, really did a bang up job on all of the drums for Catharsis, and he kind of took my very rudimentary and cruddy drums and turned them into something magical. So that was really great. And he also added some other things. He helped us with structuring a few songs, and Dan plays a bit of everything. And so he did a little bit of icing with guitars and synths and arps and things like that in certain places. And he and I kind of bounced things backwards and forwards on that. And so it came out great.
Yeah, I know that both Dan and William have contributed remixes for When Winter Comes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, start the argument of which one I prefer, even though it might rhyme with Milligan.
They're both really different.
That's each their own,
that song though started in the forecourt of a gas station in Alaska, just south of Anchorage, and I'd driven from Anchorage to this gas station, which was this place where northwestern crows are found, and so I love to track down birds, and so the northwestern crow used to be a thing, but unfortunately the taxonomists decided it's no longer a thing. It's just still part of all other crows, but at the time it was a big deal. So I went to this gas station to see these crows, and there they were after a couple of tries, and somehow this song popped into my head when I was kind of walking around on this forecourt. I fell in a hole at one point trying to see these crows. And then it just popped in my brain. I think I called Stephanie. I'm like, I've got a song idea. And then, that's it evolved.
I really love that whole album. Also, now I know that in the past you have mentioned about conception albums. Can you give us a little background information on that?
Well, I've always kind of liked concept albums because, it's a 70s thing. So, I mean, the Wall is probably like the kind of quintessential concept album for me. I mean, there's other ones. But, I still like double albums and the ones, you can open up there's Thing of the Past, unfortunately, now, but you get your 33 RPM, and if you're lucky, the vinyl is not black, it's a different color, and then you open it up, and then there'll be all kind of photographs of the band and weird stuff in the middle. I always used to like those. But you can have different types of concept albums. I mean, you can have a musically kind of consistent concept, or you can have a lyrically consistent concept, or kind of both together. And Catharsis started... It's sort of a concept album because it's really a place where Stephanie and my angst with relationships, each other, and the world gets kind of what would you say, encapsulated or congealed or enshrined. I think enshrined was the word I was looking for. So it's sort of it's got that angst of the world concept is its main concept, but it has a few other weird things in there as well that just came along as we went. I lost my hearing at one point, which mostly came back, but due to a virus. And so I wrote Meltdown was a response to that, whilst I was still mostly deaf in my right ear. In fact, I was completely deaf in my right ear and wrote Meltdown. And I was really struggling because I do a lot of writing on guitar or bass. And I realized that, the strings, if they're not plugged in, the strings are on the right side. And so I couldn't really hear what I was doing. And it was like really stressful and upsetting. But I was like, okay, I'm going to force this song out one way or another and get this song done. So Meltdown was basically about that experience. I wrote it while I was mostly deaf. But it turned out okay in the end. And I did it on the fretless bass. That one's on fretless. It's got a little fretless intro and some other things. So cool. And I'll play it on fretless in indie as well.
And what do you have any tips as far as to what helped you regain more hearing?
Steroids. That was basically steroid shot in the ear. It's Spinal Tap,
in your ear.
In your ear. It's not actually as bad as it sounds.
Oh, probably the biggest tip is to immediately go and get it treated.
Yeah, if you lose hearing in one ear, it's more common than you think, and you've got to get right on it, because if you don't get right on it, it can become permanent. But I think that the needle in the ear thing was nowhere near as bad as it sounds. Didn't even really hurt that much. So
It sounds metal.
yeah, it sounds metal. So I mean, I'm not going to go and do it for fun or anything, but it honestly wasn't that bad.
All right, now, with that, now I know that for this coming tour, and I know it's usually you and Stephanie, and I know that Bobby has done a lot of stuff in studio, but you go back to who all is going to be with you on this tour?
Just the two of us and Bobby for this. Yeah. So I'll be playing bass. Bobby will be playing guitar. Stephanie's going to be on vocals, and I also do some vocals. And then we have one song where Bobby and I are doing percussion while Steph's singing. So that's basically it.
Yeah, for the next 3 shows at least, then we're auditioning drummer.
And now I know that one of the places I had originally seen Stephanie was, I want to say like YouTube or a short somewhere, I can't remember where. And, with her chats, but now, what is both of yours opinion on the rise of like Spotify / Bandcamp, Apple Music, that type of thing, like an online music sharing type?
Like streaming services?
Yes.
It's nuanced. I would say, while it's not that great, it's not very artist friendly, any of it, but it's never been an artist friendly environment. It's probably, not okay. Okay is not the right word. It's not as bad as people say that it is, to me, at least, because we can always get royalties from the streaming services, but you can only get royalties one time if someone buys a CD. So
yeah, I mean, maybe the artist experience is different from user experience or something like that, but for us, I mean, I think we've made about the same amount of money off Spotify as we have on Bandcamp. But a lot of people listen to Bandcamp and then they don't pay anything because you can listen for free, and then after they use up their free listens, they stop listening. So we got way more listens than anybody ever buys stuff. Whereas on Spotify, if somebody streams it, at least we're getting something, even though it's like very small amount. But the amount of listeners on Spotify compared to Bandcamp is like, I don't know, it's 100 times or 1,000 times or something like that. And then Apple, we don't get that many listeners on Apple. We get like more Shazams and stuff, but we get way more listeners on Spotify than on anything else, which is nice to get your music out. But, it's really hard to make real money at music. And so it depends on what you really want to do. If you want to reach a lot of people and kind of get validation from people enjoying your music, then, as kind of corporate a monster as Spotify is, you might want to have your music on there because a lot of people are probably going to hear it. Whereas Bandcamp might be more artist friendly, but still, we're not selling as much music on Bandcamp because people are listening to it for free. And then, definitely some people buy it, but there's a lot of people listening without buying. So that's my experience. I wouldn't really judge any of them. They are what they are. That's just our experience of it. And we kind of use all of them. And we really appreciate it when people either stream or buy or listen to our music in any form or fashion, really.
And it's actually quite helpful for us for Spotify streams because the venues look at that and they will
That's
book us
true,
if we
yeah.
have more monthly listens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of an incredible thing that you start like something that just comes completely out of your brain and just didn't exist before and is just part of you. and then you create it into some kind of track and put it out on Spotify that other people in like Berlin and Warsaw or Helsinki would actually, enjoy it.
For me.
It's pretty cool.
I was listening to my Spotify DJ the other day, and I'm one of my own biggest fans. And so it plays a lot of Amulet, and it was just playing like, I don't know, like Baderhead or something. And then I was like, oh my God, I did this in my song, but it was actually my song playing. So it's very weird. It's very trippy.
I actually forget what our songs sound like sometimes. I'll hear one somewhere. I'm like, oh, wow, that, like after like about like 30 seconds. Oh, wow, that's one of our songs. Holy smokes, that's us. Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, that makes me remember, because I always share Stephanie's Spotify lists with my niece, who's quite the upcoming baby bat, if you will.
Aww.
And it's always like, oh, send me music, send me music. So I always send her Stephanie's stuff. Now, do you ever go back to your lists or playlists or whatever and hear something and be like, man, I got good taste in music, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's my song. Be like, oh, no wonder I like it.
I like the song. It's pretty good.
Or remember something that you forgot, 5 years ago or so, and be like, hey, that was really a great song.
Yeah, we've been doing that with the first album with House of Black and White.
Yeah, I listened to some of the House of Black and White recently. So it is kind of strange listening to it because it's been a couple of years now, and I still really like that song, the Bauhaus.
Yeah,
the Bauhaus is cool, and you're like the one I talked about. There's several good songs on there, but some of them don't really fit with our zeitgeist at this point. But I feel like the Bauhaus is still has some legs to it.
My favorite is Witchfinder.
Witchfinder, of course, Witchfinder. You wrote it.
Yes.
Yeah, on the first album, I kind of did a lot of the songwriting, and then Stephanie started, but then she wrote Last Ditch, which ended up being like our biggest song. Sort of just dropped it on me out of the blue, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And she's like, yeah, I'll write some music for this. And I'm like, I don't really need any music written for it because it just does this, and then just put it in, and it was great. And then Chris did a remix, which ended up being awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really surprised to find out that Stephanie had no previous, she wasn't like classically trained or anything like that as far as for vocalist.
No, I'm not. But my mom is a musician, so I probably got it through osmosis.
And your brother is like a big musician.
Yeah. They're both professional musicians, so they're probably contagious or something.
Yeah, but Stephanie's like very, very professional when it comes to singing. She's super organized. When we went in the studio, she had absolutely everything worked out, like with like timestamps and everything on. Yeah, she had it together.
They charge you per the hour, so you gotta be organized.
Now here's a question that I have recently been asking people. Have you ever toured with a band or been, asked to tour with a band that either you thought was questionable or, was on the fringe of like, I've heard too many negative things about that band or about this member or something like that, like whatever it may be. And was there anyone that you ever got asked about touring with or playing a show with that, you were like, I don't want to do that?
I can't think of anybody.
I don't think so. I mean, there's all this stuff about bands and like, cancellation of people do various things. You can't just keep up with absolutely everything that everybody's doing. It's like, if you want to like be green and then you decide, well, which companies are you going to like not shop with or shop with and stuff like that. You can't, like, auditing something like that is just exhausting because you have to look into everything and you can't always find it all out. So it's hard. I don't know what the answer to that is.
Well, we haven't run into any problems personally. So
Fortunately, yeah, that hasn't
we've done
really
things with.
happened.
We've collaborated with a bunch of great people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad for that.
Hey, Robert, you got any more?
I do, and then we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
What is the best advice you've been given?
Oh, God. In general?
Musical advice or band-related advice?
Sure.
Best advice. I don't know, I'm not very good at taking advice.
Well, I think you basically have to be a very good marketing person, and everybody says that. So I would say in a band, you have to also learn how to be good at marketing.
The best advice I ever got was you can play almost any bass line knowing 2 scale patterns.
How about that?
Yeah.
Got a couple more questions for you. Let me pull them up real quick. What's next for Amulet after this tour?
Well, we have, let's see, we're working on a remix EP. So we have 2 remixes that you've done, right? And then
Yes.
we
2
have
remixes of So Cold, and then Interface.
Interface did a remix, and
Yep.
then who else? It's been too long for me to remember who else did it. Sorry.
It will come back to us.
Oh, no, it was, no, oh my God. I'm so sorry, you guys. Tragic Impulse. It's been months. I'm sorry. It's a really cool remix. You guys are going to like that.
Yeah, but I'm really procrastinating because we, for some reason, decided we'd do a remix of our song Dirty Hard Beats off the Catharsis album. And our live version of that is quite different. It has a whole
It's different.
other section to it, which you will see at the show. It's sort of audience participation.
Yeah.
And so we're going to build that into the remix, but I went off on some tangent and started a completely different groove. And we have this idea for a song, and we were walking down the street in DC together, and Stephanie was all dressed up, and I guess I'd just gotten out of work, and this lady looked at us and she goes, "Gothic ass bitch," and then she looks at me and goes, "And the money." And so we decided that this would be a good song, Gothic Ass Bitch and the Money. So we've sort of been working on a groove for that, and I came up with this groove that's it's wild. It's got this wild bass line to it. It's really cool. But then I started to figure out, well, should I put that in this remix because I really like this bass line, and then can I line it up, and then there's the guitar solo. Anyway, enough. But I haven't gotten that done yet, and at some point I just got to sit down and stop watching Mad Men and crank it out. Maybe I need to smoke more cigarettes and drink more alcohol instead of watching people do it. But in any case, that has to be done. And then we're working with Chris on the next album, right? So
while you're working on this remix EP, I'm kind of working with Chris Hall on our next album. And we've written the songs. It's just that they're not produced at all. They're really just drafts. And so we're kind of working with him on that, on his timeline. And it's just whenever we can all get down and get around to doing it. So we're kind of working on that in between.
Yeah, it's a sad tale of what happens when you do things you shouldn't. And things spiral out of control.
What are you talking about?
The doc.
Oh, the album concept. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Things get really bad from
the concept. It is a concept album, and it's actually about fear. It's the concept of fear, and it's personified in a vampire and the vampire's experiences of planet Earth. So that should be fun.
So we wrote the songs at the same time as Catharsis, but it didn't really fit in with that. And then the so-called remixes. One's like a total synth pop one, and one's like a really kind of more jangly, kind of gothy, guitar-y based one. So those are the two that I did anyway. They're quite different.
Yeah.
But I like them both. They've definitely got something going for them.
Yeah, so we're just working on a bunch of stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
After that, we'll see if we're still alive to do more after that.
Yeah, but I mean, all that's complicated by the fact we're also rehearsing for live shows. But I think we've got our set down pretty good now. We played pretty much all of this material just recently live at the Renegade in Arlington. We did like about an hour set, close to an hour set for that, and it's more or less the same set that we'll be playing. So we mostly got it down, but we are rehearsing still just to polish up a few little aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And now, one question that reminds me of a question. Do you have anything recorded that wouldn't fit, underneath the Amulet template, but that you still really like, that you want to kind of put out there at some point in time? Because I know that you are fans of the funk.
Yeah, it's like, so people will say just like, keep that somewhere, keep that back in the 80s. Well, we actually did that already. I mean, the song Secrets and Lies we released, which is actually...
It's lounge.
It's sort of straight ahead jazz.
We have several lounge songs that I've written, and they're just sitting there because we can't decide if we should put them out or not.
Yeah. And we also wanted to do more of a kind of ethnic kind of...
like neo-folk thing.
Forest bathing goth thing as well. But only me sort of got to there where we used the bones and stuff for the percussion. But if you check out Secrets and Lies on... it's on streaming platforms. That is basically a straightforward jazz lounge song, with saxophone, and it's not an upright bass, so it's played on a fretless, and it's just it's a jazz lounge track. So we have some others of those. Then we have one thing. What was that thing we did? It's almost like a R&B-ish.
Oh, yeah.
Remember what the title of that song was? It's good though.
I can't remember. But
it's not. Yeah.
We've always talked about making lounge music that like kind of runs the line of like trip hop. So maybe dark alternative people would like it.
That could actually fit into kind of a trip hop vibe, probably.
I think we could. That would be cool. I would like that.
Yeah. But do you know where it is even?
Yeah, on the computer.
So we at some point we might dig. It's like, which hole are you going to dig? Because once you start digging, you got to get to the bottom of the hole. There's no point like trying to dig 5 holes at once. We're already digging about 3.
That's why we have no time for covers. We have way too much stuff of our own to
do our own covers.
Yeah.
It's sort of what that's a weird thing about playing live. I always feel like when you've done production, it's like, a year ago or something. Some of the Catharsis songs were done like over a year ago. Then you're going to perform it live. And it's like, okay, how are we actually going to perform this song live? Because not all of them, like some of them have some synth bass and this and that and the other. And like, you're kind of covering your own song in a way, which is like a weird vibe. But sometimes it feels a bit like that. Depends on the track. Some of them are like, you don't have to work it out as much. But yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting feeling.
And now, do you have anything that you are bringing, to this tour? Maybe something that you won't be playing, kind of special for this tour.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
besides, obviously the stuff off of the new album.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got a track on Electronic Savior 7 that Jim Simonic's putting together.
Yeah, with Jim.
Yeah. Queen of Codependency, which we'll be playing. It's sort of supposed to be secret, I think, but I think we're allowed to play it live. So there's that one. And then we're also playing one track, which is I Am the Dark, off the new collaboration with Chris.
Yeah.
Which is a very cool... It's a very simple track in a lot of ways, but very often I think the most simple are the most powerful. And so I think it's a pretty solid song. I like it.
It sounds like a classic goth song.
Yeah. It's a killer to play on bass though, because it's just like, it's pretty fast and it just does the same thing continuously pretty much. Yeah. So it's a hand cramper, but you know, it's okay for Steph. So
I have my own pain.
yeah, we all have our own pain,
Yeah.
but that one's definitely a bit of a hand cramper, but at least it's like right before Meltdown, isn't it? I think on the set list.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a Meltdown's not quite so
This will be fun.
hard to play that way. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exciting.
And do you have, what would be like, your kind of, goal as far as maybe like a festival or, any kind of, collaboration that you would like to play at in the future? Like Wave Got the Treffin or, Cold Waves or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much
That all sounds
of the
good.
above. Absolutely Fest,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'd like to play Dark Force Fest again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're pretty entertaining live. We sort of jump around and switch instruments and do all kinds of weird stuff. And we're playing different types of instruments, fretless bass and regular bass. And Stephanie always looks completely amazing. And we have all this percussion stuff we do with these illuminated drums and things like that, which is fun. And so, yeah, I mean,
Entertaining.
anybody who's, it's anybody who's putting something like that on, let us know, because we'll we'll light it up, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Send you the invite is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be great. We'd love to do it.
Yeah.
And we're easy to work with, and we don't have a lot of technical stuff to do. We just plug and play. We're plug and play.
Yeah. Maybe, but yeah, you have any final ones for him?
Yeah, what's one thing you'd like to tell your supporters?
We love you. They're very, very, very sweet and supportive, and I just really appreciate that. And if they don't know, they should go and get on our newsletter, because only
Actually, yeah, that's
people are on there, and really, that's the best way to keep in touch with anybody is get on their newsletter.
yeah. There's some interesting pics from our last show. Very interesting pics from our last show, which you might want to see people being set on fire and things. I mean, in a good way.
Yeah.
But you have to see it to see how it works.
Yeah.
But other than that, thank you for listening. And also, I mean, we put a heck of a lot of effort into the production of all of our songs and care and love. And it, all of our songs, they take forever to put together. And like all the lyrics and everything is just like, it's not like knocked out and then move on. Every single track is just really curated and thought through. And there's just a lot that goes into them. And, they mean something to us. Maybe you'll never know the exact meaning for us, but, hopefully you'll be able to connect to some of the themes in them, and they'll have a meaning for you that will connect to something in your life that will be cathartic in some way.
Yeah, in our newsletter, we actually have a section that breaks down a little piece of lyrics every time. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a fun little tidbit just for the subscribers.
And the two of us work on lyrics together, but often the lyrics mean something different to each of us as well. We have our own, like there's a kind of it's like a Venn diagram with like what the lyrics mean in general. And then there's my version of what it means to me, and then Stephanie's version of what it means to her, as well as the overlap piece of that. So I always think that's fairly interesting. And sometimes people ask us to describe what a song means, and Stephanie will explain what it means, and I'll go, no, I didn't I think that's what it meant. It meant something else altogether to me. So I think that's the good thing about art, is that you can make it your own.
Yeah, indeed. Now, on that note, do you have any, tips for people starting out, with music, trying to get something going?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the most critical, it depends what you want to do. You want to do recorded music, you want to play live. We started with recorded and then took it live. So recorded music, in this day and age, you're going to have a digital audio workstation. And so you've got to start with that. One way or another, you got to go there. So we've used them all in different ways, but you have to decide you're going to dive into something like Ableton, which has got a slightly more steep learning curve, but it does more. Or you can do something like GarageBand or Logic. But whatever you do, you got to get something so that you can, and you've got to be organized, because if you're recording those good takes and then you like drop it in a folder and then it gets erased or something like that, so you got to be super organized with how you keep all of your material. So those two things are really, really important from the beginning. And if you're playing something, you've got to record it cleanly and it's got to be in time with your track. And the good news is if you have trouble with getting things in time, you can quantize them and you can fix them. But you need to learn how to do that. So understanding that's super important just from a technical point of view. What would you say about like the creative side and some of the other aspects?
Well, yeah, I think that the music should really have good production value, and you can learn everything you need to on the internet now. So there's no excuse to not. You just need to have time to learn it, because there's just so much music that so much of it is just not ready for prime time. So you might as well be like one of those bands that sounds like it's well produced. I would say that really makes you stand out.
Yeah.
And then no one will ever hear you if you don't look interesting. Unfortunately, that is the way of the world now. So that's why I spend most of my time making us look kind of interesting or weird or some kind of thing that makes you stand out visually on the internet. So people will click.
Yeah, I'd also say you don't have to be some virtuoso musician either. I mean,
it's just produced well.
It takes, a little bit of time, but you can play, a few guitar notes, and if they're the right notes and drop them in the right place, it's going to sound great. And most of the guitar on Catharsis I played, but I'm really a bass player and I'm not a great guitarist, but you can really do a lot if you just find the right combination of things. So I wouldn't worry so much about like, oh, I can't do it. I'm not like a great guitarist. I'm not a great whatever it is. Just get started and start recording some stuff and putting it down and then start learning, because it took us a while. I mean, from when we first started in recording music, I think it's taken us 3 to 4 years to get to where we were with Catharsis. And of course we needed help. So yeah. The other thing is ask for help with people, because there's probably some people who can do everything themselves. We do a lot ourselves, but we don't do drums really. So find the people you can collaborate with is the next step. And if you can find a good creative collaborator, even better, because like I say, I think there are a few people who can do absolutely everything. They exist, but most of us are good at maybe 1, 2, or 3 things, but not everything.
Yeah. And then, like I said before, you just have to learn how to do marketing, online marketing. It's very annoying, but you have to. So.
Yeah, and learn the systems of releasing music and how streaming services work, and whatever you're going to do, DistroKid or CD Baby or whatever you're going to use. But you need a distributor, but you can find this all out very easily on YouTube and other places. Even I could figure it out. Which Stephanie's much more of a technologist than me, but it's not that hard. But if you want to do it, if you're grabbed by the idea, the passion of it, try not to let self-doubt or imposter syndrome get in your way. Try things and see where you can go with it, and pretty quickly you can put some stuff together. And then share it with friends, get some opinions, and then start releasing stuff and see where you go. And then the next phase is playing it live, and then you can go through the same thing as we did, which is being your own cover band.
And now what is some tips for people that you found to keep your energy going, especially when you're on a tour and you're playing nights after nights after nights, how do you kind of avoid the creative burnout?
Well, don't party too hard, sadly. Get a lot of rest, stay hydrated.
Yeah,
All that.
we don't want to seem antisocial, but right before a show, we're almost never in the venue. We have to get ready, both getting dressed and getting psyched up, and like being calm and focused and channeling our energy so we can give a good performance. And we don't find that being in the venue, listening to the other bands helps us much with that. It's distracting, and we can't really get our focus together. So some people might do that, and that's great, but we just find that getting prepared away from things in some calm space really helps us, and then we can get up and really hit it hard and deliver a show, rather than it's just sort of it's cooler as well for you if you walk into the space and hit the stage, rather than sort of just, oh well, I've been around in here, I'm just now going to walk up on the stage and start change the where I am in the space. It's like, let's treat this as a show. We're going to get up on stage and we're going to deliver an entertaining performance for the crowd, but it needs some, in our case at least, we're both the same, it needs some preparatory work, almost like meditation beforehand.
Yeah, and it's a little hard for people like me and a lot of other people who they're in a band in the scene because they grew up in the scene and they liked hanging out and partying and stuff. So I want to be able to do that, but I just can't do it, because if you do it, it's just you can't perform. And I personally take 3 hours to get ready, so I can't do it. So it's kind of sad, but it's fun to see everybody, and everybody cheering you on and enjoying the music gives you the energy that you need.
Yeah, I'm sure the crowd would prefer us to come with a really high energy and good performance than, see us kind of mingling around beforehand and hardly able to talk to each other as we slop our beers everywhere.
Yeah.
It's better for us to have the energy and be focused and do that. So that's how we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, on the when you come to Indy here on the 27th at Black Circle, we've been flyering all over the place. So if you get annoyed by our flyers, don't worry. There's more.
Good, bring them on.
Black Circle probably, without a doubt, has the best sound any venue in Indianapolis. There's people that spent more money, but not people that sound better. And then you also have Bellhead, who I know you're familiar with, and have local friends of ours until we are just amazing. So I highly recommend everybody come out and make sure to get your tickets. We'll put a link on here, because I know your DC show was close, if not selling out, very close.
It did sell out.
It was, yeah. It was.
Okay, yeah, you see.
Turned people away at the door, sadly. So.
Yeah. It was pretty packed.
Yeah.
So it was packed enough.
And I know DC has a good scene. I remember the old 950 Club back in, back
930, yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago. And I know there's a lot of good venues there with Anastasia from Cemetery Sex, who also played here, is just amazing. So I'm really looking forward to the show at Black Circle, and really looking forward to finally seeing you guys, because I keep somehow missing you, and this, going to be a special one for me. Do you have anything in wrapping up there, Robert?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to this interview and watching it on YouTube, and we'll see you at the show.
And remember, support the bands, and buy the merch. You
Definitely.
know, the shirts,
Merch.
the buttons, the stickers, or do like me and buy the vinyl and then don't play it and put it on my wall. I have a collection. My kids are always like, "Why you got so many records on the wall? You don't have any way to play them." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's how I like them." You know, it's all memories of really great shows. But like I say, come out to the show, have a great time. It is all ages. But make sure you get your tickets now because it's very possible to sell out. Everybody here knows Black Circle. Dustin does an amazing job every time, and the sound is always fantastic. So come out, support support local bands and touring bands with helping, buying the merch and coming to see them live. And I thank you very much for your time this evening, and we look forward to seeing you here in Indianapolis.
That's great. Thanks, both of you. Really appreciate it, and hope to see everybody at the show. We'll be bringing it. Hope you can come and join us.
Yes, very soon.
Great.
All righty, thank you.